Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today's report from Boxlight is like a school assignment that got a C-. It's technically complete, but it feels like they were hoping no one would actually read it and find the actual answers. Let's dive in and see if Boxlight is passing or failing. First, if you find value in decoding these reports, be sure to subscribe and join our Discord community. We have a link in the description below. Boxlight starts with a letter to shareholders. The main message? The good times from government spending in 2021 and 2022 are over. The market is shrinking to pre-pandemic levels and in some areas even lower. This decrease is clearly seen in Boxlight's numbers. 2024 was tough with revenue down 23%. That's almost a quarter of their sales gone in a single year. Sounds pretty bad, and to be honest, it is bad news. The company lost $28.3 million in 2024, although better than the $39.2 million loss in the previous year. They highlight that they had a positive adjusted EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization with some adjustments. This means they're still making some cash, but only due to cost cutting. Boxlight says they delivered positive adjusted EBITDA of $4.3 million for the year, which is down from the $12.6 million the year before. That's a big drop, but they are trying to put a positive spin on things. Despite falling nearly $41 million in revenue, they are still profitable according to adjusted EBITDA standards. Now, let's discuss what's up for vote at the annual meeting for the year 2025. You can attend the virtual meeting online. The first proposal is to elect 4 directors to the board. Next is the ratification or confirming of Forvis Emzars, L as their independent accounting firm. They are basically paying them to check the books. Proposal number 3, an advisory or advice-only vote on executive pay. Are the top people getting paid too much, not enough, or just right? That's what the shareholders get to say. The big one is proposal 4. This proposal is for the amendment or change to the company's articles of incorporation. This means they want to substantially increase the number of available shares of their Class A common stock from 3,750,000 to 25 million. If they pass this, there will be more stock available to buy and sell and potentially dilute the price of stock if they decide to sell more. Before we hit those numbers and the compensation, it seems fairly standard. Let's dive into the people in charge of making sure those numbers are correct in the first place. That's the audit committee. They said they've reviewed the financial statements with management, discussed it with the independent accounting firm, and got confirmation that everything seems to be above board. Now, for what you've been waiting for, people getting paid, let's see what numbers jump out from the summary compensation table. Dale Strang, the Chief Executive Officer, had total compensation in 2024 of $941,667. Michael Pope, the former Chief Executive Officer, had total compensation of $633,338. Keep in mind that he left the position. Mark Starkey, the former president of the company before leaving, took home compensation of $230,107. Henry Nance, the Chief Operating Officer, had total compensation $490,804. Greg Wiggins, the Chief Financial Officer, shows compensation that is $511,577. Sean Marklew, Executive Vice President and Managing Director for Europe, the Middle East and Africa, had total compensation of $508,669. Finally, Jens Holstebro, Executive Vice President and General Manager Americas, shows total compensation of $452,792. The outstanding equity awards table shares what each of the executives hold in unexercised options and stock that has not vested, and let us move on. Now it's time to discuss how well the executives are making versus how well the company is doing. This pay versus performance section shows the last 3 years, comparing executive pay to shareholder returns and net losses. In 2024, the current CEO, Dale Strang, made $941,667. For the same year, former CEO Michael Pope made $633,338. Finally, a non-CEO executive team on average made $438,790. These numbers are compared to the 2024 end fixed investment total, shareholder return being about $15 and the company taking a 28-4 end fixed investment total, shareholder return being about $15 and the company taking a 28-30 team on average, made $438,790. These numbers are compared to the 2024 end fixed investment total shareholder return being about $15 and the company taking a 24 end fixed investment total shareholder return being about $15 and the company taking a $28,790. These numbers are from Fertile. In 2023, the CEO, Michael Pope, made $1,364,183 compared to a non-CEO executive team making $388,305. Their 2023 end fixed investment total shareholder returned nearly $43 compared to having about a $39 fund $56,000 loss. A similar story in 2022, CEO pay $1,188,750, 3-year average non-CEO pay $448,358. In 2022, end fixed investment total shareholder return around $90 compared to having roughly $3,000 loss. Moving forward in employment agreements, the company must spell out what they will pay each of the executives and under what circumstances. It also usually says what happens when things go wrong or people leave their positions. In some of the language, they use confidentiality, non-pontitation, and non-solicitation agreements. Saud Marklew is paid in British pounds. His base salary is £175,000 and he can get a bonus of up to £120,000 if he meets certain targets. Those are definitely different ways of being paid. Time to highlight the proposal to increase the number of authorised shares. True to Boxlight wants to increase the number of shares of its stock that are authorised, meaning that it is allowed to sell, basically increasing stock that the company has available. Back in February, they completed what's called a private placement. That's when they sold stock and warrants to a select group of investors. Warrants are basically options to buy more stock later. They also have different series of preferred stock that can be converted into Class A. Common stock too that impacts the total shares available to the public sin. June, to try to get this proposal passed, they amended the share amounts and reserved them until it is voted on. If the shareholders don't approve this, the report says they might have problems raising more money. Time to look at how Boxlight compensates people with company stock. As of the end of December, there were around 325,978 securities that could be issued under these plans. Here is the security ownership of management table. This part shows who owns a lot of the company's stock. The former CEO Michael Pope owns about 55,162 shares, which is a little over 2%. Tiffany Kuo, one of the board members, owns 15,472 shares. All directors and executive officers as a group own 141,693 shares, or a little over 6%. To wrap things up, here are some notable related party, meaning not above board or not transparent transactions. They have a consulting agreement with Mark Elliott, a former CEO and board member. They pay him $4,000 a month. They also had a management agreement with Michael Pope's company, paying him different benefits for sourcing and analysing strategic acquisitions and other things. What gets more interesting is related to something called JJ Astor & Co. They may finance up to $6 million of inventory, and Michael Pope is the chief executive officer of the said company. This could be an issue. They will also look to this in any future transaction. So what's the overall takeaway? The company's facing revenue declines, executive compensation is pretty high, and there are some interesting related party transactions. Now, jumping out of the report, from my assessment, Boxlight is caught in a tough place. The shift in market dynamics has significantly impacted their sales, and while their cost-cutting efforts are keeping them afloat for now, it is not growing. The heavy reliance on related party transactions also adds another layer of complexity. One big opportunity for Boxlight is to continue to expand their focus on school safety. However big of an impact it will make is unconfirmed, but it's not a crazy strategy to pursue. Overall, Boxlight is a struggling company that needs to act fast or they might collapse. Alright, that's our breakdown of Boxlight's latest report. We recommend that if you appreciate this assessment and breakdown, you drop like, comment and subscribe. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below.